It's good to see you, karibu sana.
Asante, good
We're talking about the politics of the country at present, yes. From your perspective. But before we do that, Janet is going to welcome you with the day's quote.
Right.
What she does is she'll give you some words that were said by somebody, or maybe they're not said by somebody, or said by many people.
Yeah.
Who knows? She'll tell you.
And we can't credit them to one specific person.
This is true. Sometimes we just can't.
Yep.
And then she'll tell you, we'll see whether they make sense to you.
Yes. So this says it's an African proverb. So to Mariam and Eric's point, it's credited to African Sawa. It says, beware the naked man who offers you clothes. Beware the naked man who offers you clothes. What comes to mind when you hear that?
You know, that naked man has nothing to offer. So if he offers you clothes, then it's like, it's like somebody who is, is already a liar. And is likely to lie to you more. Yes.
Okay.
A liar shouldn't offer you a solution or truth.
Yes.
wouldn't know.
Yes. A liar can't tell you the truth. Yes.
You know, there's the other way you can look at it, that maybe this is a naked person. They're naked because they're offering you their clothes.
No, they were already naked.
Yeah, because they knew you were coming.
So they took them off in anticipation.
Nitakaribisha mgeni wangu vipi.
Okay.
The only thing that I have
is my clothes.
Is my clothes.
Putting others' needs before yours.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know that this is what it means though.
I doubt it as well. But
I see your perspective, Eric. It's true. But yes, this is not what it means.
you said art is open to interpretation. However,
this particular art,
has
only one interpretation.
Not so much.
This is right and wrong for this. You know, when the teacher is like, "It's okay, class. There are no wrong answers," and then you say something,
like,
and they're like,
"It's wrong."
Well, that's where we're at. Yeah. But we have a conversation around opposition unity, whether it's a farce or not, whether it's an illusion or reality. And Senator Maanzo, let's begin with define opposition unity in a very already fragmented opposition. Let's just be honest, between the various camps that exist politically to the ones that are coming up. Now, they're still political, but they're ones that are coming up outside of this politics that we're used to, of the big names. Many names are coming up for 2027. So what is opposition unity really?
I just wanted to say historically, opposition has always been, or has always looked fragmented. And in fact, that's how Moi used to beat, different camps, because the moment you have several presidential candidates, and especially 2 or 3 from the opposition, the government presents one, then you are definitely likely to lose the election. And that happened 92, Matiba, it continued recurring, and eventually 202, there were before the rainbow was formed, there was NAC, NAK, and then eventually they formed NARC. But it took Raila Odinga to realize now, if Mwai Kibaki runs and Raila Odinga runs, there are always 2 strong forces. If they do the 2 of them, then Uhuru Kenyatta would have become president then, and Moi would still have ruled us through him. And then, so Raila Odinga last minute says, Kibaki tosha, and leaves everybody else with no option. I remember there was Nyachai decided nonsense, I'm going to go on. He got very, so it's Orengo at that time, and they all lost. In fact, they even lost their seats in parliament, because those days the president also used to run as a member of parliament. So what happens is the current situation. You just look at those opposition leaders. You know who has the numbers to become president, and you know who doesn't have, even if they pretend.
How do you know who has the numbers to become president?
You know by the number of members of parliament following them, because members of parliament become an engine of campaign. So the more members of parliament you have on your side, then the more. And you look at the numbers from where you come from. And then, because you see, election is a matter of calculations. I want us also to look at the government. What are the chances that Raila Odinga and William Ruto will stay together beyond 2027? Can you imagine a situation whereby Raila Odinga abandons Ruto? Who will be weakest? And that's a possibility. Because you see, Raila Odinga, first of all, won the election. I was in the election petition. I heard him speak. We had all the data, how 16 used to become 61. You know, and you go to court, and this is an police station in a stream. So Raila Odinga was convinced that he won the election. And you can imagine somebody has stolen your cow. And then you go to follow it up and you find he has, mechinjia, he's slaughtered it for his family. And your family has no food. You'll ask them, okay, share me some meat. And then that's what Raila is doing. Yeah. And he knows this is his government anyway. And then you wait for him, him be the senior politician in the country. You wait for Raila Odinga to say somebody Tosha. You'll probably be telling Ruto, hey, support me also. I've supported you. Your government was gone. Support me also for even 5 years. Then you can come back later. You whatever is looking like is united is most fragmented. And therefore the opposition, which first of all is you are dealing with a government which has committed a lot of atrocities. Even if it pretends it's going to pay for all those who have been killed, there is no money which can match somebody's child. Any family which has lost a university student, its future trajectory has changed permanently. Death, causes a lot of poverty to a lot of families, dealing with it. And this was the person expected to help the family, or the person who was winning. You saw some of the bread of the family. You saw some of these young men who was the only hope of the mother. He's coming from work. He's tried to run away. He's been released early to get home early, not to get into trouble. He ends up being carelessly shot. And then you expect that family to be so happy. Even when you ask for, so what's the mechanism of compensating this young person?
Right. I want you to hold that thought, because we'll get into the compensation talks. I think it's a great thread to pull at. What is compensation without justice and all of that?
Yes.
But what you've spoken to as regards to the next few moves for like 2027 and the way Raila might go, the fragmentation. Can I be honest? I think the idea that, Raila Odinga may feel, that he's been stolen from, therefore he's just biding his time, being strategic for now, it implies that he really wanted to be president. But I would argue sometimes it doesn't feel like Raila Odinga ever wanted to be president. That his thing is to be an opposition factor and, split the votes, frustrate, and then when the government of the day comes into power, to broker a deal. Because that's been the case in the last few elections.
I have been in his campaign team since 2013. And I can assure you, every time Raila Odinga will prepare himself thoroughly to become president. But from 2013 and then 2017, even the court said, look, the election was flawed. And Raila Odinga...
That was 2017.
Yes. Raila Odinga, that has been the case even 2013. Even so, even if I were him or you are him, you be more strategic, and I can assure you, he commands one of the biggest political parties, single unit political party, and his coalition really commands huge numbers. In fact, 2008, Raila Odinga won the election, but he was not declared the president. So, and I know him because I've had one-on-one with him after an election. It's not that he's pushed into a corner whereby you can't steal my cow and eat it alone. We must share it. I think that's what has been. And I can assure you what Raila Odinga is looking for is a country with equality, equal opportunities, and justice. And that he has fought for many, many years. And including making sure that elections are no longer stolen in the future. And I think this one, he has to be helped by the people. Let me tell you how to make sure that election is not stolen. Like for the young people now, the Gen Zs, when I was in university, I participated in the election of 1997 as one of the polling clerks. And I'm encouraging the young people in university and the Gen Zs, IBC employees a lot of people. From clerk number 1 to clerk number 6, they are all young people. And they can control the presiding and the deputy presiding clerk. No election should be stolen when those 2 young people are there, especially now that you win or you lose an election at the police station. These people must be able to stop it, because that's where now election is stolen. Everybody, all those clerks collude. And then you find the presidential vote is higher, and even dead people have voted. You know you buried a relative. You go to the police station where they vote, and you find their name is crossed, and their ballot paper was done. I mean, and that person is deceased. So that's how the presidential votes are usually stolen. And if the young people who are going to work for IBC, and I believe the current IBC chair is a very, well brought up person, well educated, and knows what this country needs. So I believe if as Kenyans decide we are not going to steal the election, and I can see this happening, Kenyans are deciding, look, don't pretend
Kenyans
who you are.
steal elections. Kenyans vote.
Yes, Kenyans vote, but they can decide no one will. Okay. And I'll tell you what's a new move. If I go to a bank and I find people queuing, and I try to jump the queue, I'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
If I'm driving on the streets, the law only gives precedence to the president, an ambulance, or a fire engine. I have seen Kenyans now block, a minister who is pretending that, and he's blocked and is forced to stay in the queue. That's a new Kenya we want. We want a Kenya where there's no corruption. And every Kenyan is tired of that corruption, and especially the young people. People want justice in the country, and I believe they are going to fight for it, and they are going to look for a presidential candidate. It doesn't matter. I've heard, the government say we want Kalonzo Musyoka on board. What I have advised myself, and Kalonzo Musyoka, I know is not going to join President Ruto by any chance. Even the Raila Odinga is likely to abandon him. I know, even if you brought back Rigathi Gachagua as the deputy president, you can do that through the courts. And even if you declare that Kidiki was appointed without IBC and is a flawed process, and return back Rigathi to government, keep Raila Odinga there, and even force Kalonzo or steal Kalonzo in your imaginations, and put all those people there together, the country will look for a different presidential candidate, and the revolution will go on. So it doesn't mean those people you see there that they are the ones who are the people. The Kenyans are bigger, and the country is greater than all these politicians you see.
Senator,
yes,
you're sort of contradicting yourself, because you've said, look at the numbers, and you're saying, let's look at the present. Yes, you are likely to see the winner by just looking at the numbers that they are able to command now.
It's just one of the options. Now, after people combine themselves, or after people align themselves, the politicians, the party leaders, then there is what the people think. If the people think that's not the right arrangement, the people will make a decision. There is always an independent candidate. There is always somebody else trusted by the people. I'll give an example. Former Chief Justice Maraga is one person many Kenyans trust, even if you are going to be a Mandela. I'll give you another example of somebody. Kalonzo Musyoka is also one of the people many Kenyans trust. But there are many other presidential candidates Kenyans don't trust at all. Kenyans know what they have done in terms of human rights. Kenyans know they have participated in killing people. And you want to present that person as a presidential candidate, while Maraga is there, who as a judge stood for the truth in 2017. That history has never been forgotten. So the people are known to have said and defended human rights.
Are you talking about somebody here? Let's take a break.
Specifically.
Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Dan Maanzo is the senator for Makueni County. We are talking about opposition unity. Is the opposition united? Is Wiper still in this leadership of the united opposition? Now the leader of, what's that party? DCP is coming back today. Are we going to see solidarity from Kina Kalonzo and Gino Malo are going to receive him at the airport? Or will they say, wewe fika ukipumzika tupatane kesho pale Serena saa 4 tuongeleshe watu? What are we going to see? Taking a break, we'll be back shortly. Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time on NTV and Nation FM and online.
400.
He said, nimesalimiwa na Naomi.
Yes, nimesalimiwa na Naomi. Sweethearty wa degwa.
Yes. Charles Ndungo says, Ruto believes money is the solution to all problems. Bio Fraila, MPs, senators, Mama Mboga, Boda Boda. I get the feeling if he met Motsepe behind the tent. Okay. He also goes on to say, Maraga Okia we trust. Kalonzo, I'm not convinced. He's been around for long. Has he really ever stood out as a solution? Those are the thoughts of a few people, a few fixers.
Place to even start the conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kalonzo has been in politics since the 80s. Where is that point in history throughout his career where we can say this is what Kalonzo Musyoka did for Kenyans? I think with Raila Odinga, even now as he has decided to be wishy-washy, the fight for multi-party democracy will always have him stand out in history. Well, yeah, for Kalonzo Musyoka,
I want to remind Kenyans about the story of President Kibaki. President Kibaki was in politics for 50 years. And he vied for president for 20 years. Every time you vie and lose. In fact, I remember one time his campaign team was almost giving up because they were like, we have tried so many times, but nothing is coming up. Probably it's time to pack and go. But they tried once more in 2002, and it worked. In 2007, when out of what had happened, it was not clear who had won the election. Because I also want to admit, this idea of stuffy ballot papers cuts across. Because you find in Tharaka Nithi is over 100% vote for presidential, and at the same time also, in Raila's backyard is also 100%. And I want to be honest with the Kenyans, what usually happens after 5, when there are few people streaming in those village police stations, and where there are strongholds, everybody colludes, and the paperwork is done. And you see, that's what now was a problem in 2007. You won't really know, as Kriegler report pointed, whoever won the election. So remember in 2007, Kalonzo Musyoka ran. He decided to be, he was a presidential candidate.
The alternative.
And the alternative of the two. And then immediately he realized the country was in trouble. He assisted President Kibaki to stabilize the country. That really went a long way to cool down, and President Kibaki was very smart. He appointed half cabinet and realized we are going to form a coalition because it's not clear who won the election, and left Raila and his people to join him, of which they did. But now you had to have, because we didn't have the current constitution, the old constitution could not hold together anymore. Things had fallen apart and could no longer hold together. So at that moment, Kalonzo Musyoka, who is a long-term diplomat, foreign affairs, and I want to tell you, for somebody to run the government and to do the country, look at Kibaki. Then Uhuru Kenyatta was in politics for many years too, since 1997 was he was nominated, and he was in positions like a deputy prime minister, where you'll understand how do you run a nation. If you look at Ruto, he's been at it also since 1997. 1992 actually, but elective politics 97. All of them were previously in politics in one way or another. So you cannot have somebody who is totally new pretending to run the nation. I can assure you, let's say we the young people decide, or the youthful people decide to have our own presidential candidate, we will win. We will win the election. It's only that young people don't, we have 70%. It's only that young people don't vote. And that's why you have the Gen Zs threatening their parents, if we know you are going to vote for Ruto, we are going to hide your ID and you give it the day after the election. Because without an ID, you can't vote, which is also not a fair way of dealing with it. The best thing is for everybody to come out and vote. And I can assure you this time round, the the Wiper Patriotic Front, which is a newly branded party, is going to have Kalonzo Musyoka presented as a presidential candidate.
So answer the question then.
Yes.
What are his credentials?
First of all,
what is it that makes Kalonzo Musyoka stand out?
I can assure you, and I want to tell you the distinction. There are few people I know who are not corrupt in this country. And I've seen how they deal in the House. One of them is Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. He will not bribe anybody. He will make sure his work is done well for the Senate. He will arrive even in good time, even before the committee arrives. He is already, he has come to work for the people of Kisumu. I'll tell you also,
actually, just to say that, somebody mentioned that last week at the Devolution Conference, that when you go for a meeting and you've been given an appointment for 8 a.m.,
Professor
Anyang' Nyong'o will be there at 7:30.
Yes.
Because at 7:50, his PA will come out to check whether you've arrived. 8 meeting starts.
Yes.
If you're not
That's
there,
Professor Anyang' Nyong'o for you. Even with the Senate, he will arrive. He knows standing orders. I was here at 9. You guys are coming 9:30. Sorry, you can only adjourn because the standing order says so.
Wow.
So I'll tell you, that's one Kenyan who will not entertain corruption, because the biggest problem of this country is corruption. If you appoint a corrupt leader, sorry, you are changing nothing in this country. And then I'll tell you about a young man called Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Out of those governors, he will come, his paperwork is okay, he will present it the way it is. You will not intimidate him, and you will not push him into a corner because his paperwork is okay. You are free to do whatever you want to do. So you will not also bribe. And if you follow him around to ask him for something, he's going to announce you publicly. That is what so he's trying to get he's trying to extort. Because where does he get the money to come and bribe you? It is not his money. The man belongs to the people. And it is a high time. I can assure you, if somebody was to bribe with their personal money, I don't see any of these leaders doing it. They only bribe with the people's money, which is what is heating up this country and finishing.
Senator,
I'll tell you also.
Will you come round to Kalonzo?
Right?
Yes, I'm telling you also. I can assure you, Kalonzo Musyoka is not corrupt at all. And there is no likelihood that if he ever formed government, there will be any corruption dealing of whatsoever nature. Because corruption begins at the top. At the moment leaders see the top leader is actually bribing us, then the bribery goes up to the smallest person. If you don't want to pay up a cop 50 shillings, your windscreen is not broken, your tires are perfect, your car has insurance. If you are stopped by a policeman, why are you giving him money? Tell him to take you wherever he wants to take you. There's nowhere he will take you because there's no evidence against you. But at the moment your windscreen is cracked.
You're not making a very strong case for Kalonzo.
So I'm saying, I'm just making a simple case for Kalonzo Musyoka. We are going to present as a political party, as a presidential candidate, that I know him. He is not corrupt and he will not support corruption. And he will fight it from the top, from himself. Let me tell you what is eating the current government. You remember the prayers Oginda said the day they took this law to State House. And I can assure you, as a legislator who's been there, this law is a duplication of so many laws. We have enough laws to fight corruption. All that conflict of interest is in the Constitution, is in several laws. And when they did something they have never done in this country. Oginda was there, who in fact there was an introduction of a law in Parliament to send him home. They were coming up with a description of who should be the chair of ESCC, and it was not fitting him, so that they can send him home. And that law is still in the pipeline in the House.
You're still trying to find the good case.
So I want to tell you, those prayers stayed in State House by Oginda and quoted several number of people who betrayed the cause, and God killed them instantly. I think this is what is making the country now. You don't joke with prayers in honesty. And God is powerful and He does exist. And therefore you can see how the government, how the corrupt are now telling on each other immediately after those prayers.
So let's ask this question a different way.
Yes.
So Wiper Patriotic Front, that's the new brand for Wiper.
Yes.
DAPK, PLP is? People's Liberation Party,
yes.
Jubilee, and others, and DCP, have been operating like, you're one united front.
Yes.
Yes? Is there, and I'm sure you've been attending those meetings.
Yes, I do.
Is there a conversation around how they will pick one candidate?
Yes, the party leaders themselves have been conversing, and I believe they'll come up with a candidate, a winning formula. A candidate, first of all, who stands for change in this country. You need, and the biggest change in this country, one, is a fight against corruption. I can assure you also, Martha Karua is not corrupt. I know Eugene Wamalwa is not corrupt. I know what the DCP leader stands for, Rigathi Gachagua. He has
Your choice of words here were killing. It's very telling.
I know what the DCP leader stands for. He's been betrayed through corruption. He knows the pain when people are paid public money to send you home, whereby if they were not paid, maybe they would not have sent you home. And a flawed, impeachment, which is, so that pain, I'm sure he does not want to take anybody through that. He's a man who stands for justice. Okay. Therefore, we are looking for leaders. And I can assure you, someone like Martha Karua will never compromise. To allow the country to go into what it is going through, and we have outstanding presidential candidates who, for sure, will deal with corruption. And I can assure you, the country will come back together if you dealt with corruption.
Why the silence when Rigiji was away? Some noted, it was.
It was suddenly very quiet. Yes. There wasn't a lot of that color meetings. There wasn't a lot of press conference because the deputy president.
I'll tell you what happened because I've been part of it. We did a few meetings, like there was one in Kajiado. There were quite a number of meetings without him. But at some point after Embu, there came the shooting. Live bullets on the elected leaders. Clearly, that was attempted assassination. We presented it. That slowed people a little bit, and I believe probably now for us to organize to have armored vehicles, because seems then if you like when people started firing Raila's car during the Raila demonstrations with live bullets, we had to slow down a little bit and come up with a armored vehicle for him. Because and for Kalonzo Musyoka at that time, because there were the two of them, we had to come, and there are not many armored vehicles in the country, because first of all they're very expensive to run, they're heavier than usual, and they are manufactured in a certain way that they're very expensive to acquire, and there are very few in Kenya now, so that you can be sure that when Murkomen orders that you be shot dead, or because you are in a rally, or because you have gone to a church and people don't want you to assemble anywhere, which is against the constitution anyway, then at least you sufficiently take care of yourself. Okay. So, and we are in communication with the DCP leader throughout. While he was away.
Why did he cut his trip short? Was it because of needing to convene urgently? It seems like there was an urgency.
There's no urgency anywhere. He announced it clearly in good time, the best time he wants to come back home. And nothing stops anybody coming back home, especially when you do what you had gone to do. He has met all the delegations he wanted to meet. There's no need to sit in the United States of America. While he was away also, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka had a tour of the UK and also a tour of West Africa. At the same time, he had a big interview on BBC, and we have kept, the fire burning in the house and outside rallies. I am here. I have not shied away to come to this interview. I would have said I will only come for an interview when Rigathi Gachagua is back, or Wamonyoro is back to the country. But I'm here, and we are going to stand for the same thing. Yeah. You have seen the activities in the House. You have seen what has happened to the House of Parliament. And the issues go on, and we are commenting on them. We have been clear. That's why there's something also which we have been doing. There is a Restorative Justice Commission which we formed. and we've been putting up together the secretariat and the mechanism to make sure that we give all people who have suffered in this government, and especially the deaths, unfair deaths of their children and themselves, to come and present evidence so that we collect sufficient evidence to either prosecute, take some information to the DPP because they can prosecute some of these known people, and then where possible, make a very big constitutional case for compensation of these families when all the evidence can be presented and all the numbers can be known, because they are scattered all over the country. When we were launching this commission, quite a number of families and victims came and talked, and some said how their children were murdered and how no one even helped them to bury them, and they were so innocent and they were in university. And therefore, this has to be revisited, because a country can never move forward without justice. I've seen the president has tried to say we are in 2 months, we are compensating these people, we have appointed so-and-so jurists to look at the matter. But we want the matter to be taken more serious, because a country without justice will never move forward. So we have never stopped. There has been a lot of action of the opposition members of parliament in media and in meetings and in churches and in all manner of places. Right. It's not gone off completely that Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka were not in the country. No, everything went on. You also saw that Matiang'i went to the US. Yes. I believe he's back. Everybody had their own thing they are doing. And I believe the united opposition now will sit. They say they don't want to declare the presidential candidate too early for obvious reasons. And I told you.
What are those reasons?
From this shooting of leaders' cars with live bullets and missing them narrowly, and from the threats issued by the president and Murkomen on opposition, you need to have a better strategy. It means clearly the government is planning to assassinate the opposition leaders. There's been enough. There's enough talk of that we are going to assassinate, including enough threats on Rigathi Gachagua today. And I really want to challenge Murkomen to follow the law, because he's not above the law. His president is not above the law. One day they will be out of power and we will prosecute them. Criminal liability stays with you till the day you die, or you are prosecuted even if you are 90 years old. There is no way you commit a crime or break the law and get away with it. You cannot be, you are the only one who determines when there is a legal meeting and illegal meeting. The Constitution has already determined that. Agreed. We changed from the Moi days where if the police doesn't, you only need to notify the police.
That's true.
And Gachagua has notified the police.
Wait, when you say
and you cannot stop him from driving from the airport to his house.
Senator Maanzo,
yes.
When you say there's threats against Rigi G specifically,
yes,
and the opposition, what is the nature of the threats? Have they been reported to the police? Who's making the threats?
The threats are being made by Murkomen and his boss, President William Ruto.
In person?
He has gone on television, he has gone live, he even said as soon as Gachagua arrives in the country, we will put him in a mental institution. What makes him determine that? What makes also us not put Murkomen or his boss in a mental institution? We must respect the law, even though they could...
have you reported this in any way?
Since he has issued the threats, we want to see to what extent will he implement these threats. You can only report back to him, because that is the police force is under him. Although it's supposed to be independent, there is no independent police force. So we want to see how they move it today. We can also decide to report to international courts. We don't need to report to the same police here. If they commit such an atrocity against an organized political group, it is genocide. So we will deal with it.
How do you qualify a threat?
You have seen the threats we issued.
We see politicians making all these kind of statements. We see politicians from the opposition, for example, talking about ICC and saying, these leaders shall go to the ICC. You have just said here, you shall be held criminally liable. You carry criminal culpability all your life because of the statements that you made.
So long as you have committed a crime.
If Kipchumba interpreted that to be a threat, would he be right?
But is that a threat against his
It's,
life?
Is that a threat against his life?
No. It is a threat against a legal process, which is within the Constitution.
Okay, so Kipchumba,
You are
in
allowed
making the
to
statements.
prosecute Murkomen. Even right now, if we had a fair country, out of the statements he has made, he should have resigned from office.
But you have not threatened his life, have you?
No, we haven't. We have only threatened with taking him through a legal process. And if insufficient evidence is given, then he should go to jail.
So in comparison, when the cabinet secretary reacts to statements made by Rigathi Gachagua while abroad about corruption back in Kenya and so on and so forth, and says you should make those statements, you should come and write those statements with a report to the police, and goes off the cuff and says some of these statements are made sound like somebody just needs they sound like somebody is mentally unstable. Is that a threat to the person's life?
The threat is when he comes to Kenya, we will put him in a mental institution or arrest him and charge him. So, and Gachagua said, I'm ready to be arrested and to be charged. I'll defend myself. You know, an arrest,
so not a threat
an
to
arrest
life.
can be done to anybody, including yourself or myself, anytime. It is the aftermath of the arrest. When you get arrested, then when you go to court, somebody who alleges must prove that you committed ABCD crime. At least we know the crime Murkomen has committed. We know the crimes. It's not one, not two. He has now threatened to disrupt any single activity of the opposition unless he authorizes it.
So what are you going to do
That is not the law,
now?
that's against the Constitution.
As joint opposition and as their counsel, what do you advise the opposition to do now? Not hold rallies because of these threats?
No.
So are you going to hold rallies?
We will hold rallies. Sure enough, Rigathi Gachagua will come back home today, God willing. Let's see what Murkomen does to him. After that, we'll deal with him. Let's see what he'll do. Let's see whether he captures him and takes him to a mental institution as he had threatened. Let's see whether he will immediately arrest him. Let's see the charges. Let's see whether he will send policemen to shoot live bullets on him. Let's see what he does.
So you have not made a
We
strong
cannot
case.
stop. We cannot stop following the Constitution and assembly legally simply because Murkomen is shooting us. And simply because he's sending police to shoot us. Because
Senator Maanzo, I'm struggling with if there are threats being made that we're not privy to. The statement about checking Rigathi into a mental institution is in the open. That's okay. But if there are threats being made against his life, it's not a wait and see situation. It is something to go to the police with immediately, right?
Yes.
For the purpose of record and for the purpose of investigation.
Even if it's the same police you say.
I understand that
Yes.
there's interference from other arms of government.
And we have done that
but
before.
even for not prosper, what's the word I'm looking for? For posterity,
Yes.
that's the word. Yes, that you did record a statement that the public knows as well that these were threats issued.
I'll tell you what happened recently. There was a member of parliament who issued a threat by message to myself and to Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. So we went to the police to record the statement. This MP is aligned to the government. He has never been summoned up to today. And when he was summoned, he refused to go. There is impunity in the country.
What? So you have an OB from a police
We have an
station?
OB. We recorded a statement out of his threatening message in writing. And then when he was asked to go and explain to the police, he refused. We went to DCI, we went everywhere. So sometimes it can be an exercise in futility. But I want to agree with you. First of all, when we make public statements, because it's a matter of public notoriety, even the police know. But will the police summon Murkomen? Will they summon the president? Allegedly, under the law, the president does not have, you cannot do criminal or civil proceedings on him while in office. But as soon as he's out of office, you can do that. So what do you do to Murkomen? It is only the DPP. The DPP, if the Constitution allows him to stay proceedings, to end an nolle prosequi, or just refuse to prosecute. But that doesn't mean when this DPP is gone, another DPP will not come. You can also do a private prosecution. But the DPP is allowed to take over the private prosecution proceedings and terminate them. So we are dealing with impunity. And the best way to deal with impunity is to send such a government home. That's the best way. And then immediately after you send it home, you prosecute those who killed people, because it is either manslaughter or murder. And in a lot of cases for the police brutality we have seen, they are murder cases.
Final question. If Raila Odinga stays with William Ruto up to 2027 and into the election, does the opposition stand a chance?
Yes, it does. In fact, that's is a better scenario for Kenyans. It means one thing. If Raila Odinga is not running as a president, his political party will do very badly. If he supports Ruto, Kenyans will send them home together. In fact, a lot of people in ODM, as you all know, do not support that alliance with William Ruto. But I know the justification. The truth of the matter is, after Parliament was run over, the next person to be run over was going to be President Ruto. And they did not withdraw the finance bill, which was very much against the people of Kenya. In fact, I'll tell you some of the things sneaked into that finance bill. There's an act of parliament called Statutory Instruments Act. So they make a miscellaneous amendment that, because you see, statutory instruments expire after 10 years. And this government has over 2,000 expired statutory instruments, meaning over so many acts of parliament are not operational. But the government now sneaked an amendment of a major act of parliament into a finance bill that that term limit is deleted. The reason you do so is because those are the ratings, the charges, and they should be reviewed time and again. But now you wanted to bring a law which even kills a whole act of parliament through a small amendment. I mean, there's so many bad laws in this regime.
We are concluding this, Senator, and thank you for joining us. So the point here is, if Raila stays with Ruto, you think that's a better scenario for the opposition?
It's a better scenario for the opposition.
And if Raila comes and rejoins the opposition, will you give him the ticket?
No, we have not decided on that. If Raila Odinga decides,
should he be given the ticket, in your personal opinion?
If he decides to abandon Ruto, it means you'll be agree with with many Kenyans at that particular moment for one term. And at that moment, for now, the position is you'll queue.
Like Kalonzo
and Martha Karua. You'll queue like everybody else.
Senator Dan Maanzo, Senator for Makueni County, has been our guest. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here for the next conversation, which we are coming to talk about. Well, we chose not to ask the Senator those questions. We'll ask the next guest those questions, the Senator from Migori County, Eddie Okech, on oversight and the oversight role of the Senate. And then we'll bring in the corruption question. 8 a.m. Good morning.